Up next is Michigan head coach Brady Hoke of the Legends Division. Hoke enters his first season at Michigan, taking over with 8 seasons of head coaching experience and another 8 seasons of experience as an assistant coach with the Wolverines. Michigan is tied for the Big Ten lead with 19 returning starters on offense and defense. Coach Hoke, go ahead with an opening statement.
Well, thanks, Doug, and I want to thank all you for coming and the job that you do. It's really humbling, and it's a real privilege to represent the University of Michigan and those kids that are in that program, and it's humbling to be part, in my opinion, the greatest conference in this country. When you look at it from an academic side to the football that's played and the other sports that are played in this conference, I think it's second to none. Obviously, we're excited. This will be our 132nd year of football at the University of Michigan. And there's some great legacies, great traditions that go along with that. Our players at this point have done a nice job handling a transition of a new staff, a new system on defense, new system on offense, and how they're being coached and what they're being asked to do. We are a long way from where we need to be, and I can say that this fall camp is as important time for all of us as anybody, but it also, when you're new to a program and new to a staff, like our players are, I think how you go through your fall camp and the attitude that you have every day and the toughness that you have to play this great game and the discipline and the accountability, I think that will say a lot about how we end up as a football team. We are a senior-led football team and always will be. And I think our seniors, in my conversations with them through the summer, have done a tremendous job of leading. And that's an expectation when you're a senior at Michigan. So we're excited. To be honest with you, excited for fall camp. It's my funnest time of the year because I don't have to see all you, and I get to see 105 guys who we as a staff want to mentor and want to, when they graduate from Michigan, they're going to be great husbands and fathers and people that go back into their communities and do a tremendous job.
All right, with that, we'll open it up for questions. Go ahead. We've got our first one here on the left in the aisle.
Coach, talk a little bit about the rivalry between you and Ohio State with both new coaches at the helm this year. Talk a little bit about what that will bring to that rivalry.
You know, we're really fortunate at Michigan. We've got a national rivalry where we play Notre Dame. We've got an in-state rivalry with Michigan State, obviously, and then the rivalry with Ohio is as big as rivalry there is in sport. And you know, and it never has been who the coach is. It's always about those two great institutions. We have an utmost respect, and it's fun. I mean, if you can't get geared up for that and get goosebumps and all those things for that game, then you may not be human.
All right, we'll go stage right over here.
Coach Hoke, you have a tremendous talent in Denard Robinson, one of the more electrifying players in college football last season. How excited are you to work with him and get him acclimated to your offense?
You know, very excited. You know, he's done a tremendous job, you know, and I can tell you he ran the same offense in high school, which is a plus. And because one of the big differences is the mechanics of taking the snap from center and the footwork and the run game and the foot patterns and the play action game. So he was ahead of the curve a little bit, and I think Al Borges has done a tremendous job with him. We are smart enough, which I would never call, people usually don't say that about me, but we're smart enough to have elements that he does well from what he did in the past in the spread in our offense.
All right, downstage right here in the front.
Coach, stepping into a program with the prestige and the tradition such as Michigan, has that made your job more stressful or more enjoyable thus far?
Well, and this job's about 105 and will be 115 guys that we'll have on our football team. And if we as a staff or myself as a head coach ever not think about those 115 kids, then we're not doing our job. So when you talk about stress levels and stuff, it's all about those kids and us doing a good job of helping them grow in the life lessons and the life skills you learn from the great game of football.
Down front.
Yeah, Coach, just curious, Michigan had one of the most prolific offenses in football last year, and Denard was very comfortable in the system he was in. I'm sure this question has come up, why you would run the risk of short-circuiting some of that production by moving to a different offensive set. I presume it's to fit the personnel, perhaps, or the opponents that you have?
Well, I think this, there's two sides of the ball in the game of football. And I can tell you and I'm a defensive coach, that when your defense plays against a pro-style offense all spring long, and they play against a pro-style offense all fall camp, you build a toughness and an edge because the schemes themselves are different. And this is a physical football league. And it's physical offenses, and people will run the football. And we think we can play better defense by the fact of how we do things on the offensive side of the ball because they feed off each other.
Go all the way back, stage left.
Coach, with the addition of Nebraska and now the championship game to the conference, what does this mean for the Big Ten, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's tremendous for the Big Ten. I mean, you're talking about a storied program with great history. I think, I coached in another league where there was a championship game involved. So I think the excitement, of the tradition that Nebraska brings into the Big Ten, and then us having a championship game, I think just brings more fanaticism, for the Big Ten Conference.
Next question is right here in the aisle on our right.
Coach, just wanted to get your thoughts on the potential possibility of playing Ohio State in consecutive weeks in the future.
You know what? That game always needs to be played the last week in November. I mean, that's tradition. And I think there's certain traditions you don't mess with. And to be honest with you, if we play them 2 weeks in a row, play them 2 weeks in one row. I mean, you see this happen, baseball, they play same teams back to back to back to back. Or in the NFL, you've got your leagues. It's usually not 2 weeks in a row, but, it's what it is.
Next is back, stage right on the aisle.
Coach, bringing in a guy like Greg Madison to run your defense, obviously that's got to be a big boost for you, a guy with a ton of college football and NFL experience.
Oh, yeah. Greg, he brings so much to the table, and I can tell you, and it's not what he brings just in the X and O's and the schemes of football. His relationship with our players, the knowledge and the fundamentals and teaching that all the guys on our staff, because that's first and foremost. You've got to be a tremendous teacher because the fundamentals and techniques to how you play are really going to determine where you're at the end of the year and the improvement that you make each week. And obviously there's a scheme knowledge that we feel very comfortable with and that we like, but I think his relationships that he builds with kids, 18 to 23-year-olds, and his motivation skills are tremendous.
Right down here in front on our left.
Coach, what do you think it will take in a long-term sense to rebuild Michigan to the national power that it was before Rodriguez's era?
Well, I don't think we're rebuilding, period. I mean, we're Michigan. And we've got kids who understand that they're Michigan. And so I don't put, any stock into that.
Time for a few more questions. We've got one over here on our far left.
Coach, can you talk about your receiving core and how they adjusted, and will Daryl Stoneham be part of that receiving core this fall?
Well, I'll take the second question first. Is I really haven't made that decision yet, where he's going to end up, and that's something that I'll work through with Daryl. But I think the guys with Hemingway, I think Junior's done a nice job. I think a young guy, Gerald Robinson, has done a nice job. I think, Odoms is a guy who brings a lot of life to us when you look at his love for the game. And, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he can sure present some problems in the slot. And so I think, there's a lot of guys there. I think one of the best things we have at that position is we got tremendous competition. And that's why fall camp is going to be important for us like it is everybody else. But I think where we sort out who are going to be those guys.
Stay on the same side of the room.
Do you see Ohio State is being wounded right now, and this is a time to sort of take advantage of the situation? And just from a recruiting standpoint, have you guys done that a little bit, do you think?
No, I really don't. That's a tremendous program with tremendous tradition, just like we have. And, we have 42 championships in the Big Ten. And when you have schools that have that quality about them and have that those legacies, I don't see anybody as wounded.
And we'll stay over there again for our next question.
Brady, your recruiting has been extremely impressive to date since you arrived. There were some people that felt that that wasn't probably being exploited as fully as it should have been. Can you talk about, I don't want to use the word ease, but can you talk about what your recruiting experience has been here, and frankly, why Michigan has been able to dominate as it has been since you arrived here and getting some of these very, very, very impressive recruits?
This might sound arrogant, and if it is, it is. We're Michigan. We have a global education, and we're the winningest program in the history of college football. We have a tremendous staff of guys. The lifeblood for all of us, no doubt, is the guys you bring in your program. And we've really tried to focus on the guys that fit the mold of Michigan with the integrity and the character that we want to have. We want guys who will play with a toughness and play with an accountability and a team for each other. And, it's those guys out on the road, they work it, and they do a tremendous job. But first and foremost, it's Michigan.
Time for one last question. All right, we have it over here on stage left in the middle.
Coach, can you talk about the atmosphere, what it's going to be like when the Big House hosts their first night game this season?
Well, we're looking towards September 3rd first and foremost, because that's where you don't get a second chance to make a first impression as a team. But obviously, the first ever night game with a national rival in Notre Dame, I got a feeling that place is going to be alive and jumping and a lot of excitement. And, we look forward to it.
Thanks very much, Coach Hoke.
Thank you, and go Blue.